Hi, my name is Zachary Angelette, and I was just going to go over more about the program I was working on. I was just going to kind of do a general rundown, basically of the folders and files and stuff. The CMD is kind of where your commands that get generated end up. DB is, your database stuff. DB Connect is your main database connection. Tags is the functions for the database. And then the database itself, which is SQLite. It's basically ID, CMD, note, tag, bash. Bash is just to see, it's basically to say, is this a bash command or not? CMD is command, note is the note for it, tag is how, like, a different way to search it. README images are just for the README. Switchterm is basically the application itself, and the main file for it is switchterm.go, which is on the outside or home of switchterm folder. And it basically has the function to kind of get the ball rolling. The actual running of it is in the main.go, and this would be, I guess, how you would kind of set it up if you wanted. The reason why I had set it up this way was because I wanted something so that it's really easy to call, and this basically gets all the tags, but this could be anything you can want in there. It could be your own tags, it could be anything. Basically this runs through them, and this is what makes them show up with the different colors. The different colors are something that you can change pretty easily. So that is in color-termer. And basically these are the colors, and these are the numbers that I guess you could say belong to those colors. You can find these online. They're basically the text format for those different colors. I have a link on there, and I'll put it in the notes as far as how to get different colors. It's really easy. It's just different numbers. But this is basically a printout, so that when you do run it and you see the different selection and different colors, that's what these represent, and you can change it to these different colors, and you can add colors, like I said. One is for the background, one is for the foreground, right here. And this is basically the ASCII representation of how that gets formatted like this. And so you could see the open bracket, close bracket, the forward color, which would be these numbers, or one of them, and then the actual text. That's what represents this whole thing. So you could just copy paste this, and it would give you what this is. There's this that makes it stop at a certain point after the selection, so that the color doesn't keep going down. And that's basically what this does. So you kind of need both in order to make your own kind of selection, but you can change this to whatever kind of character you want. It's a really easy thing to figure out. Anyways, so this is basically what gets chosen, and it just selects them all based upon the CMD, which is the command. It goes into the database and then spits them out, and then returns them, and then just prints this out. So it prints out the CMD, the nodes, so that when you do select, that's what this is. So this is basically directly from the database, and that's what it's pulling. So what are these other kind of folders? CMD creator is just generally how you create commands and how it generates them. The temp folder is the template syntax for it, so that when it generates this, that's what this represents. And then CMD creator is creates the file, which is what I did here under CMD. It adds the template syntax to it and everything, and imports it and everything, so that when you do run the program, it's able to kind of generate the file, generate the import, call the function from that file, like as if it's a regular command. Now, how does that all kind of come down? Basically, like I said, it starts off with this, and it creates a map, and it lets you do these 3 selections, which is when you run it, these 3 selections. And this dig single is just, it's basically it's in the switch utility right here. It's just a way to print these out a certain way, and then you'll be able to use your keys on there to change the highlight. That's pretty much it. The regular dig is when you have multiple that go into it and come out of it. So you have that, and that's what's called here. It does a switch statement, so that when you do search, let's say you choose search, you search by CMD or search by tag, and that's what the switch case is, search answer. So it just prints out the stuff for it, looks for in the characters, kind of what's going on. This is the search by tag, so you wouldn't normally search text by tag. It would just have the tags, and those tags would represent what tag you put under those commands. But if you did search by CMD, this is where you would type out the first 2. I think there's one with AA, and that's how you would get it. So it just ranges through the characters to do the search. So then if you did select, which is this one right here, it would do the multiple one, which is the dig one. And so that's when you want to show multiple stuff, and you're able to go between it. And that dig one has, well, let me explain it. Basically clears out whatever's after it, which is, you can see it kind of created this thing, and then prints out the columns so that it shows both of these, right? And then it does the keyboard listening so that you can actually type it. That's a third-party application, which is this one, Atomic Go. And one thing to know is you can't call it in itself, so you can't do like choose the letter A and then recall up the keyboard thing here and then be able to select from there. You can do it, but it'll freeze your terminal. So I just do it by calling functions, Anyways, so these are up, down, left, right. And it basically, how does it know, how do you get from up, down, left, right to being able to select between these functions, which it clears it, so it just removes everything, and then it tracks the line at which you're at, and depending upon if you up or down, left or right, it'll minus or add that index, and then it'll just print out the columns. And at that line it'll print out the color. So if you go to this one, the actual printout of this is a little more complicated, a little more algorithm-y, I guess, with the columns and rows, just because if you have multiple of these, you're going to have multiple rows and multiple columns. And so yeah, I mean, I had to look that all up. Obviously I didn't have that just laying around my head, but that would be, you can borrow this if you want or whatever, and then it just, if the line is at the index, color to selection just like it is here, else print the rest of it out. Or if it's part of the chosen, which just means if you select C, it also chooses it, but it basically just throws it into this array, and then if it contains it, then also colorize it. That's all it is, in order to select 2 or 3 things and hit enter, and it selects them both. Ooh. Seems really complicated. It's really not. So then there's the add command, which is down here, and you could choose between bash and custom. Custom is just some command that does the generating the file and everything, because when you generate the file you can actually add your own code and, you know, whatever it is, you know, sure. And then bash is something that would actually be a bash command, like, I don't know, pwd or whatever it is that you're doing. You can't really type out a whole big bash command thing, because the buffer, it really wouldn't make any sense if you had to type out and then hit enter and type out each line of the bash inside the terminal. And I'll probably just have a thing that runs a bash file. Yeah, I mean, that would make a lot more sense. But yeah, so there's that. So that's what you get to choose. And so if you do custom, let's say HH, this is HH, add tag test, and you notice it moved a little. There's HH, and then you can put your command there, and it'll run it when you select it. I did do a thing to remove it, and so let's say you want to remove HH. You hit R for remove, and then you gotta hit enter in order to select it, and then see it crossed out, and yeah, no more HH folder. It also removes it from this, is it the switch utility? Or no, that's right. It's the CMD runner, because this is where it grabs this and then generates this part of the switch statement. See how it's kind of up? I hit save. Ooh, it fixes it. Not that it really matters, but just as long as it knows that it's there, and it also removed the HH1, removes the import, so it all works. It does print out everything, which I gotta figure out what print thing is doing that, but whatever. Yeah, that's the generalness. This logger thing is just for the logger package, so that if something gets screwed up, I'll know exactly where to go for it. Switch utility is just a bunch of functions for that, for removing an item, printing it out, or whatever. CMD runner, that's what actually like makes it run the the commands. I did kind of borrow online certain functions in order to delete stuff, because when it takes all the commands that are in the database and then compares them to the chosen and then checks whether or not they're bash, and then it runs through them, you do need kind of a way to filter down and delete through that slice. That's what this is. And then this also removes duplicates. Yeah. I went over that, or remover. I think I went over this. And it's basically the opposite of the creator one. You're just switching out this, for the creator. The creator is like, oh, if you find this command, then generate all this in order to call it. Well, the remover does the opposite. If you find the import with it, remove it, and the call inside that switch statement. So basically, instead of here, so if I did remove AA, it'll find this and remove it, and also the import. Yeah. So that I just wanted to give a rundown of sort of what's going on. In the README, I sort of break down. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to kind of go over, was the just generally how do you kind of go about making a command or whatever. And basically, you would call this like dig single or just dig in order to print out this in order to print out any kind of selection, so like yes or no or something. As long as this list is filled with something. So sometimes you'll see in my code like a list just kind of created on the fly, because it's like I want only those selections. Yeah, you can do asking stuff, and that's what this is. You could just copy paste this and it'll ask the user something, but you would have to know what they're going to type, and that sure you could presume yes or no or white, but it's just a lot easier to have a selection here and cut the BS. You only allow them certain selections to make sure that part of the program is going to be correct. Sometimes having this part, like I said, with doing add, when it's kind of open-ended, makes a lot of sense. Because you don't know what kind of command that they're going to be adding. And this scans it. And then this saves it. That's it. I think I broke this down in a README, sort of. As far as what all this means, I have dig and what it, multiple values, and print chosen is just how you printify it. And then if you want to ask a question, do what I just went over. And then the directions bit, which is this whole thing, is just this command. Well, this is to clear it, but the directions one, the regular one, is how to show it. And then just running the start of this keyboard one is how you begin the ball for doing certain letter guessing, I guess you could call it, like left, right, up, down, C, S, R, and then you would just do a switch statement and run whatever commands in that. This remove and stuff, I set this because at the very end you're going to remove stuff. In order for it to know that you actually hit R to remove it, you have it here and it checks it. Why did I put this at the end instead of at the R? Because you may want to do more stuff than that when you remove it. Maybe just hit R in order to know, maybe you want to make an extra selection. So you would hit R and then C, and then from there, oh no, actually that wouldn't work. with, I got to, I'll have to make another one actually, like CR remove, and then if that's chosen, then keep the state of it. Yeah, actually, so yeah, that's another little thing I'll have to change. But yeah, that's the generalness of it. The runner running the commands at the end just kind of makes sense because that's what you're doing. As far as the setup here, this is just to get the commands and initially print out everything, and then to actually like get the chosen from it. So yeah, I just wanted some so that yeah, the dependency is on SQLite right here, this one, and then also that keyboard one, which is the Atomic Go. Where is that? That'd be right here. Those are my like two real dependencies per se. Everything else is stuff that I built, sorta. But yeah, that's. I just wanted something so that you can easily move around pieces. And I have some really complicated architecture thing going on, which I really don't understand why you would have that. I get it, you want to shorten up the code, but it just makes stuff confusing. Like, you can't break it apart then. Like, hitting the up key. If I had this all abstracted away, you know, people wouldn't understand what's really going on. I understand the index thing is a little confusing because of, you know, when you want to switch things up and there may be more on the left or right side, the index part does get a little confusing. Especially like this. It's just a way to switch through stuff so that if you have multiple commands, you can do this. That's, you know, that's just math. I don't know. I can't break this down any further than rows and columns and, you know, your index. That's just what it's going to be. I don't know what to tell you. It's not the most understandable thing in the world, I guess you could say, because it's math, but okay. Maybe there is an easier way out there. I just don't know it. Anyways, so I just wanted some so that people can take pieces of stuff and do what they want with it and understand it and everything, and have just like, oh, a printout. That's how it gets printed out. And then, oh, chosen. You are trying to find which one was selected, you know. And then, oh, colorize it, you know. That's how it should be, you know. With a program, I think it should be broken down. Makes sense to me. Instead of this huge abstract algorithm crazy stuff that has nothing to do with math, and it's just like, oh, I could do one command and it'll do everything for me. Well, if people can't understand or change, or if there's a bug, or they want to make it more complex, more simple, change stuff, whatever, they can't do it then. That's why I got a little mad about the keyboard library that I'm using, because you don't get to control it. I mean, you get to control the keys, which I guess is the point, and it's a little specific, and that kind of makes sense, but this part of it you don't really get to control, because it does some crazy go routine selection key info into all different kind of architectures, and I'm thinking there's an easier way to do this. Maybe that's just me, but the one big benefit for me was as soon as you hit a key, it refreshes what's going on. That was big for me. That was absolutely huge, because that's the only way you're going to get this view, hit enter, and get a different view. That's the only way you're going to do it. if you just have it be your own thing, it's not going to update. You have to hit enter, down, hit enter, down, hit enter, you know what I mean? And this kind of makes it, repaint, so to speak. But yeah, I just wanted to give a real rundown of the different programs. I have these 3 licenses, and I described in a README why there's these different licenses. I would have liked GNU 3, but like a time ago, Keyboard 1 has MIT, the SQLite driver has BSD, Go itself has BSD. Not much I can do about that. I would really like to have been able to get rid of this dependency myself and be able to really rearrange things, but writing it for each architecture and stuff, I don't know about that. So yeah, that's basically my project, and I wanted to just run it down. Why did I use Go? Well, kind of how I describe it here, sort of, but it never changes, which is great. It works on all different architectures really easily. You don't have to import some third-party whatever or another. It's easy to understand. So if you do something like this, which it isn't the most complicated program in the world, but it makes it so that everything's written out, and so other people can use it and think about it and do whatever they want with it. Again, the no change thing is a big part of what I like. It's quick enough. You don't have to do like some big huge stack thing, download crap. The only thing you gotta download is the keyboard, the Atomic Go one, and then the SQLite driver, and then my code. That's it. That's all you gotta do. Heck, you could probably do Go new, and it'll pull it all down for you. A lot of other people like it. The spirit of people who write Go is usually really big, and people love it, and they go to different meetups, and they were just so addicted, so happy. It isn't like a contest either. It isn't like, well, Go nums, or not Go nums, but enums, and functional programming, and the philosophy of blah blah. It just isn't about that crap that I obviously don't need. It's about being able to write stuff that other people can read, so that maybe if somebody else comes across this, like I have come across other projects in order to learn how to do this, they can build up upon it. They could probably make it better. They can make it more readable. They can share it with others. And that, to me, is probably the most important aspect of it. Because then once you can share, once it's readable, once other people can take ideas, then things just always get better. They don't get worse. They don't stay still. There isn't like some project where people are like, oh my god, we gotta build this up, and then all of a sudden they hit the good old ceiling of, oh well, things are getting real big. Not saying that this is all that big, because it's not, but it's the idea that you can keep going. I'm not that worried about it getting big. I'm just not. Like, it's literally fun in my head. I can't wait to try and change it again. I have no problems with the complexity of it whatsoever. That's not a huge project, but I'm just trying to say that I don't foresee me having problems in the future with its complexity. And that to me means everything. That's why I work on some that you eventually hit that ceiling, and then what? People gotta get paid to work on it because it's just too hard. Why? Why would you start something like that? Doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. That's why I'm working on it. That's what I will be doing. that's, what it does. If you have any questions, please let me know. All right, thank you.